Hello, and everybody. Thank you for joining me. I have been asked a few times, not only in my live streams, but also just in passing during chats, things like that, that people would like to have an idea of what builds I use. So this video is going to be that. I'm going to start off with a striker that is my normal build, and then I have different variations of that, which I'll go over. Then I'll talk about my healer build, and I've got a skill damage build that I use, and a couple other ones that I'll go over, just to try to keep it short. This is the striker build I run the most. I run gunner specialization on here, St. Elmo's with damage to target out of cover, but I switch between that one and a damage to armor, depending on the situation. I also am running a black market SASG 12 at this time. That right now, of course, you can see is damage target cover with preservation. That way I can rebuild armor. And with the gunner specialization, you get armor on kill anyway, so it helps a little bit. You can see I'm running a 4-piece striker with the backpack. I then run Fenris with the obliterate talent. I'll roll the crit hit chance and damage. And then run a Walker Harris so I can get the 5% weapon damage. Because with me, the way I build, this striker is meant to stack weapon damage, so crit hit chance damage. It does help, but it's meant to have, stack out your weapon damage as much as you can, and then obliterate kind of helps add on to that. So with this build, the stats come up to 53.9% crit hit chance with 149% crit hit damage. Now, a lot of that comes from the St. Elmo's engine. Another variation of this I run is I will put on a Ninja Bike Messenger backpack. I will then run that with a Walker Harris unbreakable piece and put on a Picaro's holster. This allows me a little bit more survivability. Still gives me the damage stacks that I need. And continues to keep me alive, basically. I'll run this when I'm running random legendaries or just random missions, sometimes with friends, with clan members. I also run a Reviver Hive and a Decoy. You can run whatever you like on the secondary talent. I like having a Reviver Hive because, well, I do play a little bit up close sometimes. And please keep in mind, these builds are meant to be built the way I play. So keep in mind, there is no meta. No matter what anybody says, there is no meta build. You build it the way you need to. Yes, I see that add-on right there needs to be changed because I have to change that every time I switch it just because of the way it's saved on here. I do have other variations of this with other specializations like demolitionist, survivalist, technician. Anytime I need to change, I can just switch around and I've got that. This here is what I call my Ninja Striker build, but it's really designed around being a Striker PFE / tank build. So as you can see, I've got the Mask of Striker, Gloves of Striker, rolled armor. I have PFE mods on the backpack, the mask, the chest piece. I'm running a improvised holster. Rolled crit damage with armor regen and a protection from elites mod. And then this is a little different. So depending on what I'm running and where I'm running it, I definitely run damage to armor on here because I'm getting the two. It just helps to have that when I'm running this up close. Running the same black market SASG 12. Sometimes I will run a rock and roll, depending on what I'm doing. And sometimes I will run my mop as well. With the knee pads, I have the blueprint from Descent. So I re-rolled these and got that set with armor regen because it comes with armor regen 1%. I got it rolled to armor regen and then re-rolled the skill tier to armor. Every now and then I will roll those out with improvised knee pads that have armor regen, crit chance, and a PFE mod depending on the situation. This is what I call my Thomas the Tank Engine build. I don't know why, that's just how I have it labeled. With this one as a firewall specialist, I'm running a Tactical Mark 16, run damage to target out of cover with strained on it, and I also run the Scorpio. This build is running the Chill Out Mask, rolled crit hit damage with protection from elites mods. I am also running the Lavoisier, which is the perfect galvanized, rolled armor regen crit damage with a crit damage mod. I need that, so the Scorpio, this helps me build stacks of armor, not only just for me, but for my teammates that are within range. I'm also running the Bellstone Armory for the armor regen, rolled crit chance with armor regen and protection from elites mod. And with me proccing bonus armor, I use the Intimidate to help more damage. And then, of course, you can see I'm running the Improvised holster, crit hit damage on regen again. Protection from elites mod. Same with the knee pads, crit hit chance on regen with protection from elites mod. And running enterprise gloves with armor regen, crit hit damage with a protection from elites mod. And then I run the firewall shield so that when I'm up close, I can do damage. If you've seen any of my legendary runs when I'm live, you'll see that I run this build quite a bit. I also run the other one that I just spoke about quite a bit. And I will then move on to the other PFE build I will run every so often. Now, this is my original PFE build. It's built around the Liberty pistol and the Bulwark ballistic shield. Now, the reason why that is, the only real change that I make between this one and the other build I just talked about is I change out the backpack. Goes for Bellstone Armory with Adrenaline Rush. And then I have Tardigrade, so I can proc armor when it breaks. That helps not only me, but my team, but I'm running the same holster, knees, and gloves from the previous. And I run with this SASG 12 shotgun, mainly for the damage. I'll put the mop on every so often. And with this Tactical Mark 16 rolled with strained, it helps quite a bit with damage. Being a damage numbers up just a little bit more for this build, because it's really meant to be really tanky and survivable. With the Liberty, you stack weapon damage on body shots, and that helps increase your weapon damage. If your shield is out and you need to repair it, hit a headshot damage, bam, repairs your shield. Now, this is the heal build I run quite a bit. A lot of people run it. As you can see, I'm running the same Tactical Mark 16 from the previous builds, along with Scorpio. And I have this one has a pistol on it, rolled with Sledgehammer. I'm running with Survivalist Specialization, and it's a 4-piece future initiative with the common Alps Summit backpack with Opportunistic and the BTSU data gloves for overcharging. I do use this quite a bit for heals, and this great thing about it as well, as most of you know, is you get ground control out of it, so it increases you and your allies' total weapon and skill damage by 15% when they're at full armor. And when you repair an ally, you and all allies within 5 meters of you are also repaired for 60% of that amount, so it helps quite a bit. And then with the chest piece, we're getting the ground control damage bonus from 15 to 25%, which is why I run the chest piece. This is labeled as my skill damage build. As you can see, it's a 2-piece hand of use, so I get the skill haste and skill damage. The mask is rolled to skill haste and damage with a skill haste mod. I'm running the backpack with skill haste and skill damage with a skill haste mod with perfect combined arms, so that as I fire at shoot my weapon at something, shooting at me increases that total skill damage by 30%. So it stacks for a little bit. And then I'm running 3-piece Empress, which of course is a common thing you see around. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you get skill damage and status effects on the chest piece. I'm running Kinetic Momentum. Gloves, skill damage with skill haste as well. And then the knee pads with skill haste, skill damage. And then I'm running a Wyvern holster with skill haste and skill damage. So I get the 10% damage bonus. And this one I kind of swap out. I will run the turret or the drone. And sometimes I also use this. I will roll this over to use an Artificer Hive. And I will roll this out to Oxidizer so that I can boost my Oxidizer damage. Now, there is another build variation of this that uses the Waveform holster. I prefer to have the Wyvern holster just for the fact that it's sustained. And I don't have to wait for the switch back and forth. But every now and then I will put the Wyvern, the Waveform holster on here to get that effect boost that I need. This is my status effect clips build. You can tell that I'm running it with an exotic vial mask. And then I'm also running it with a China Light backpack with Creeping Death. And I'm running the 4-piece Eclipse protocol so that I can get indirect transmission, get the status effects and skill haste out of it. Every now and then, though, however, I will roll this to a full Eclipse protocol backpack, and I will roll this to a China Light knee pad to help boost my damage out of it. Sometimes I will do that during legendaries, other missions, depending like bounties, things like that. Just depending on what kind of damage you do. Most of the time, we need Creeping Death so that I can switch over to CC, Pulse, whatever I need to do. There is another variation of this build that uses it's not using this specialization. It's using the Demolitionist for a little bit more of a punch. I don't run that build as often. This build here is what I call my DZ Y'all build. Now, if you can't guess and you see the pieces, I'm running the Ninja Bike Messenger backpack Now, which means I'm getting the brand bonuses from a lot of this stuff. So Walker and Harris, I'm getting the 2-piece weapon damage with damage to armor. This particular mask, I rerolled to armor with crit hit damage and hazard protection with ensnare resistance. I am running this with a bleed resistance mod. This is the Seska chest piece, running with spotter. And then I'm running y'all gloves with hazard protection and health, running the knee pads with crit damage and hazard protection. And then I'm running Picard's holster with hazard protection so I can get the weapon damage and rerolled to armor so that I can get my 1.7 million armor. Now with this build, coupled with the specialization plus the y'all gear, I am getting 40% pulse resistance just from the y'all gear. Now with this build, the way it's set up, I have 100% pulse resistance. Now I have to find it, so bear with me. With this, I have, where is it? Pulse resistance 100%. So if you're running in the DZ with this build and they pulse, which a lot of them do, they aren't going to see me. Now, a good portion of them, I use this spotter. The other reason why I'm running Technician is so I can run the linked laser pointer so that everything I aim at is being pulsed. That helps increase my damage. I have the Defender drone on me to give me a little bit more survivability, but most of the time if I get targeted, I'm going to go down. This is mainly just so they can't see me and I can run away. It does some damage, but when you do this normalization, when you're in the DZs, you don't get much out of it. Now, the final build is something that I use in the DZ every so often. Not very often because, well, just depends on who I go against. You can tell I'm running a FAMAS with Optimist on it. I am running the Ouroboros just for now because I swap them in and out. Now, with this particular build, you can see I'm running the Ninja Bike again. 3-piece striker, rolled armor. I'm rolling this chest piece right now for it was meant to be for shotgun damage. However, I've recently found out that Perfectly Unbreakable is still broken in the DZ, so I have not replaced that chest piece yet. And then I'm running the regular Picaro, so I can have the armor along with hit damage and weapon damage based on that to kind of boost that up a little bit. Now, it does hit Pack-a-Punch, but it's more about me pouring out ammo as fast as I can usually in situations. Now, I'm running the decoy to help kind of throw people off. I am also running this explosive seeker mine because with Technician, if you have something within your area, like you have a skill within your area, you can't be, I cannot remember what the actual effect is. I'll have to look at it, but I don't think you can be pulsed or disrupted is basically what it comes down to. I'd have to look it up and get that confirmed, but I'm pretty certain that's what it is. If you look at the specialization stuff, that'll give you an idea, which I will actually go to the specialization desk now and find out. All right, so here we are. So the reason why I run the skills says party members within 5 meters of your deployed and undisrupted skills are immune to shock and disruption. So that's the Faraday field talent. That's a passive talent that's active all the time. As long as my skill is down and undisrupted, then it'll keep us from being shock or disrupted. So that happens sometimes in the DZ. A lot of people run shock. It has kind of been a big thing. So I've been running that a lot in groups to stop that from happening. And there you have it. I hope that kind of gives you some informative information. I know it was kind of quick. If you have questions, you can post them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. Always remember that any build that you build is for you. There are definitely YouTubers out there that have good builds that can kind of get you started on things, but remember, when people build builds, they're building it for how they play. You always want to build for how you play. I play sometimes up close. I don't really stay back as a sniper anymore. I'm usually tanky. I'm usually DPS, and I'm right in their face. So I build builds for what and how I play, and what is most enjoyable for me, and the content that I play. So most of the stuff I play is legendary. So a lot of my builds are either tanky or they deal out a ton of damage. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for being here. Have a good one, and I will see you on the next live stream.